Viewers, you're watching the Hard Facts, and let's begin with some plain speak. And plain speak is shorn of niceties, so I beg your apology in advance. India is secular not because Indira Gandhi in 1976, under the guise of emergency when the opposition was in jail, sneakily introduced the word secular into the preamble of the Constitution. India is secular, viewers, and pay attention. Because by dharma, Hindus are secular. Our faith's motto is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family. Hindus don't see the world as a contest between us and them. There's no word like infidel, kafir, in the Hindu lexicon. So unlike the Christian and Muslim nations of the world, India's constitution makers did not think it necessary to insert the word secular in it. Just look at the two documents. To the left or in the middle of your screens, viewers, is the original preamble. There is no word like secular in the preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign democratic republic. That word, sovereign and socialist, viewers, and secular. Socialist and secular. Look at that, viewers, was inserted during the emergency. The preamble in the Constitution that we gave to ourselves on January 26, 1950, did not have it. And therefore now the RSS is demanding that India should revert to the original preamble. The RSS General Secretary Dattatreya Hosabale has said, and I quote, "Yes, the ideas of secularism may have existed. They may have been part of governance and state policy. That's a different matter. But should these two words remain in the preamble, this is something that deserves a review," unquote. So he's not arguing, viewers, to rewrite the Constitution of India. He's only saying, let's go back to Ambedkar's vision. The Congress and its allies have all leaped to criticize the RSS along expected lines. The Congress says the RSS has never accepted the Constitution of India. This is not just a suggestion, it is part of a long-standing conspiracy to dismantle Dr. Ambedkar's vision for a just, inclusive and democratic India, something the RSS BJP has always been plotting. So viewers, the Congress statement invokes Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Now remember why I have emphasized the fact. Just keep it to the back of your heads. Rahul Gandhi, the leader of opposition, Congress leader, has come out and said the mask of RSS has come off again. Constitution irks them because it speaks of equality, secularism and justice. RSS BJP doesn't want the Constitution. They want Manusmriti. They aim to strip marginalized and poor of their rights and enslave them again. Snatching a powerful weapon like the Constitution is their real agenda. RSS should stop dreaming. We will never let them succeed. Every patriotic Indian will defend the Constitution until their last breath, unquote. Because Rahul Gandhi should ask his own great-grandfather Nehru why he didn't write the word secular into the preamble. Why did he agree with Dr. Ambedkar that it should not be written into the Constitution's preamble? He should ask, viewers, is it because Nehru was a Sanghi? Or Dr. Ambedkar was a closet Sanghi, masquerading as a Democrat, secular person? I don't know, viewers, because Rahul Gandhi won't have the answer. And viewers, when the Congress says that they are the ones who are the guardians of secularism, they are once again misleading the nation by invoking Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and his Constitution. In fact, the framer of India's Constitution argued against including the word socialist and secular in the preamble. This was discussed in the Constituent Assembly. Not 3 members said that this word secular should be and socialist should be weaved into the preamble. And Dr. Ambedkar said, quote, "What should be the policy of the state? How society should be organized in its social and economic side are matters which must be decided by the people themselves according to time and circumstances. It cannot be laid down in the Constitution itself because that is destroying democracy altogether." So while he said, viewers, that the people should decide, and maybe, yes, you can introduce them, but that should be decided by the time and circumstance. Viewers, what did Indira Gandhi do? She introduced it via the 42nd Amendment, viewers, which had a large number of problems with it because it concentrated power, it amplified the power of the center. So Rahul Gandhi talks about, federalism and this, that, the other. His grandmother actually, by introducing Amendment 42, viewers, tightened the grip of the center on the levers of power in this country, made the center really dominant. And viewers, the people weren't speaking through that parliament because, as you know, there was emergency. The opposition was locked up. This was a power grab, an illegitimate power grab. She was asked by the court to actually step down from being a member of parliament, and she would have had to resign her office as prime minister, but she continued, viewers, as supreme dictator in a matter of sense. Now, viewers, the irony is that while the Congress invokes B.R. Ambedkar, it has been at the forefront of dismantling his vision by writing into law policies that desecrate the very definition of the word secular. Here are the hard facts, and I always bring you the hard facts, viewers, so you can get closer to the truth. Let's take the example of the Shah Bano case. What did the Congress do? It overturned the Supreme Court ruling to protect orthodox interpretations of the Sharia. The outcome was it created legal pluralism based on religion, an explicit rejection of constitutional secularism. B.R. Ambedkar wanted constitutional secularism. These people, viewers, the Congress party in 85, did exactly the opposite. The Hajj subsidy policy. What did the Congress do? From 1959 to 2014, Congress governments consistently expanded and defended the Hajj subsidy. What was the outcome? The Supreme Court called the subsidy a violation of constitutional secularism and struck it down in phases in 2012. The Places of Worship Special Provisions Act of 1991. The Congress legally undermined the principle of equal access to justice for all faiths and all types of people. What was the outcome? It locked out historical grievances, denying mainly Hindus the legal redress, the right to legal redress, viewers. Then there is a state control of Hindu temples. Through various state laws, enabled direct government management of only Hindu temples. Only Hindu temples. Now, viewers, in a secular democracy, in a constitutional democracy that salutes secularism, viewers, how can only one religion be singled out? The outcome was a selective interference in the internal affairs of just one religion, which violates Article 25 and 26, viewers. Then there are religion-based quotas and minority education institutions. It pushed religion-based quotas, 4.5% sub-quota for Muslims within OBCs during the UPA, viewers. The outcome is it undermines religious equality before law and uniform standards in education and employment. In fact, the Supreme Court has said that these quotas along religious lines are illegal. But no, viewers, they champion it. Prevention of Communal and Targeted Violence Bill 2011. The Congress, viewers, brought in the Communal Violence Bill. It tabled it in the House. And you know what it said, viewers? That only minorities could ever be victims. And the majority community therefore had to be a perpetrator. Because it violated Article 14 by presuming guilt based on religion, the bill had to be shelved, viewers. It was constitutionally infirm. This is the Congress's secularism. And on the Uniform Civil Code, viewers, which is a directive principle of state policy that Mr. Ambedkar said we need, that Dr. Ambedkar said we need, the Congress, viewers, has abused it. It has reformed Hindu personal laws in the 1950s, refused to touch Muslim personal laws, polygamy, all sorts of other horrible inflictions on women have been allowed in the name of faith-based law. This perpetuates legal exceptionalism, contravening Article 44. And viewers, the Constitution of India, the directive principles of state policy say that we must aspire towards a UCC. That was what Dr. Ambedkar wanted, but the Congress opposes it. And therefore, viewers, these facts force me to ask some basic questions tonight, and let's open this up. These are hard facts, viewers. No one can contest them, but let's open this up. Sanjay Jha, let me begin with you first, sir. I told you I will begin with some plain speak. If you have any questions regarding the hard facts, please challenge them now. Tell me I'm wrong on any of my hard facts.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
I'll tell you.
and let me tell you, if you believe, if the ecosystem wants to preserve Ambedkar's vision, why does it oppose reverting to the original preamble? Was Dr. Ambedkar, who left out the words secular and socialist, a Sanghi? Well, he might have been actually, because he pushed for the UCC, which you oppose. If you're really interested in hard secularism, why do you oppose the UCC, sir?
Okay, Rahul, if you're done with your question, and in the interest of a fair debate, let me respond to you. You have given me the opportunity to start right away. Let me do that. Firstly, I don't think the opposition has opposed the UCC. They have said it cannot be done unilaterally. It must be done with all the stakeholders, taking into account all the sensitivities of different religious communities in this country, which is the appropriate way to go forward. But I'm a little surprised, Rahul, and I need to say this upfront, that in your entire introduction, a very passionate introduction, you forgot to mention the elephant in the room. That it's not a political party. The Supreme Court of India has itself passed a verdict on the challenge which was made by the Sanghis, by the RSS, by the BJP, by, to borrow your term, the right-wing ecosystem, which went to the Supreme Court and said, we should remove secularism, we should remove socialism, exactly what the RSS mouthed today. Let me read out to you. Hard facts, Rahul. Hard facts from the Supreme Court. It'll take me 30 seconds. The Supreme Court has upheld the inclusion of socialist and secular in the preamble of the Indian Constitution. These terms were added by the 42nd Amendment in 1976, and the court dismissed the petitions challenging them, which included people from the right-wing ecosystem. The court clarified that socialism in the Indian context means a welfare state. We know how the BJP is giving free ration and food grains to 800 million people, Ladli Behna, and probably I think Narendra Modi is more left of center than anything else between you and me. And in terms of secularism, it means the state neither favors nor disfavors any religion. And we know why Mr. Modi and the RSS and the BJP are very uptight about it, because, hello, ladies and gentlemen, we know mob lynching has now been normalized. We know that the Supreme Court was told you're creating a religious war when the Supreme Court Chief Justice had to comment on the Waqf board. I mean, we know that love jihad and ghar wapsi, etc. has been your entire reason for survival. We know what the Supreme Court said on bulldozers. It disturbs our conscience in the way houses are being raised. We know who's called for genocide. We know all that. Everybody in this country is aware. We know exactly how Colonel Sophia Qureshi, the decorated officer...
No, let's not get into rhetoric. Look, there are hundreds of things that can be said about the Congress.
Absolutely.
I mean, you stood in the front lines and massacred Sikhs, some of your leaders. So let's not go there. Let's keep this factual. You started out by talking about the Supreme Court.
Let's bring in Babri Masjid.
No, hang on. You brought in the Supreme Court.
Let's bring in Manipur.
No, one second. You brought in the Supreme Court, touching faith in the Supreme Court, viewers. When the Congress thinks that it is furthering... One second.
No, this issue is closed. Why is RSS reinventing it?
Nothing is closed. Nothing is closed. No, it was not a constitutional bench. Was it a constitutional bench? Was it a constitutional bench? No. So, hang on. The Supreme Court, no, hang on. If you have such touching and abiding faith in the Supreme Court, why did you, one second, sir, why did you alter their Shah Bano judgment?
Because
why did you,
at that point,
let me answer. What point?
At that point, the Rajiv Gandhi government
wanted to appease Muslims.
1 minute, no. By the way, why would a party with 414 seats in the Lok Sabha want to appease 12%?
Yeah, because what happened in 1989? What happened exactly 4 years later to Rajiv Gandhi in 1989? How many seats was he left with, sir? Can you tell me?
He was 197 and the single largest party.
So where did he come from, viewers? 400 plus to 197. 50% seats gone. That's why, viewers, he was so concerned. Anyhow, you're answering my question. There's a touching faith today in the Supreme Court. Viewers, this is the same Congress party that says that the Supreme Court is today a suborned organization. It cannot stand up for itself. There's touching faith in that same Supreme Court. Viewers, just putting out the hypocrisy, nothing more.
But the matter is
I
closed.
haven't called
What are
the
we
Supreme. When the
debating?
Ayodhya judgment happened, they said, look, the judges, the spineless characters didn't even have the guts to sign their judgment. It's what they've said, not me. So they pick and choose, viewers, as I told you. If the EC makes them win 400
Rahul,
seats,
you are
tomorrow the
doing the
EC
same.
will
Why
be the
aren't you
best.
talking about Bilkis
1
Banu?
minute, let me open this up.
You talk Shah Banu,
Of
talk
course,
of Bilkis
I
Banu.
actually went against
Let's
that.
talk of
I
Bilkis
said
Banu.
that the Supreme Court should intercede.
Let's talk of Bilkis Banu.
Yes, we should. We
Yeah,
should.
let's
So
do that.
the Supreme Court threw the rule book
A woman
at the
who was
Gujarat
gang
government.
raped,
So they upheld
and
it.
the
They
rapists
upheld
were
it. They
released
upheld
on
her
India's
cause. They upheld her
75th
rights.
year of
You're happy
independence.
with that, right? You're happy with that.
Rapists were released on the 75th
So
year
yeah,
of
so
Indian
the Supreme
independence.
Court
What a
set
shame.
things right. So
What
one
a
minute.
shame.
Let me just open this up.
What a shame. Ask these
Let
two
me
guys
open
from
up.
the right wing
No,
to
don't
explain.
don't change the discourse. We are talking about a very fundamental thing here, viewers, about whether those words should remain in the preamble or should we go back to the Ambedkar Constitution. The Supreme Court has interrogated this issue and it has come out with its interpretation. Now, viewers, it's not law. The Supreme Court is fallible. They'll admit this matter perhaps needs to be taken up to a constitution bench. But I'm just going to open this up. I'm not going to dominate this. I put out my hard facts, viewers. None of them, by the way, were contravened by anybody. And they're all an abuse of the principle of secularism. There is not one there. There is not one there.
I nullified the entire
Viewers,
debate by
let
telling
me
you
tell
that
you.
the matter is closed.
No, one second. No.
Why are you
Matter is
discussing
not
an
closed, sir.
RSS
Then why are you going up in
officer
court?
or an
Why are
RSS
you going up in
officer
court
statement?
against the Waqf?
How does the
Why are
RSS
you going up
matter?
in court against
Is
the
the RSS
Waqf?
a political
Excuse me,
party?
one second.
Is the
I
RSS
don't want
running
to
the
get into a
country?
slanging match, please.
Is the RSS
Let's
running
open
the
this up.
country?
Let's open this up.
Is
Let
the
the
RSS
others
running the
others
country?
speak. You've spoken for 7 minutes, please, sir. Let's open this up. Let's open this up. Dr. Ranganathan
Unless
is
you're
there.
making an admission that the RSS is
Haj
running
subsidy,
the country.
viewers, Haj subsidy, Shah Bano, all of these things put one religion on top of everyone else. Now, Dr. Ranganathan, the Congress invokes secularism, constitutional secularism, says we love Ambedkar, we upheld his legacy. What do you make of this? And what about the argument about going back to the original preamble?
Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to my fellow panelists. You gave 7.5 minutes to the previous panelists. I just request half of that. Thank you so much. Look, every day the Congress picks up a new whip to lash itself with. I think it has taken self-flagellation to an art form. What is it today? That the RSS wants to change the constitution of Dr. Ambedkar? Well, all that the RSS leader said was that the words socialist and secular should be removed from the constitution. And these gimpish self-flagellators of Congress don't even know that these two words weren't there in Ambedkar's constitution, as he had specifically wanted them not to be there. They were inserted by Indira during the emergency. So for 30 years under Congress till 1976, when those two words weren't there in the preamble, we weren't socialist or secular. Is that their logic? So damn right, they should be removed. Not only that, Nehru's draconian First Amendment should also be removed. Now to the word secular, because that is the point of contention. Rahul, you can have a state give Haj subsidy, host iftar parties, pay monthly salaries to thousands of Maulvis, ask UGC to completely fund minority institutions that keep 50% seats reserved for minorities, overturn Supreme Court judgments to appease Muslims, leech thousands of crores preferentially from Hindu temples, control thousands of acres of temple land, spend crores of taxpayers' money for Kartarpur corridor, run madrasas, order only Hindu-run schools to give 25% reservation to the poor, and still be secular? Why is the state paying the surveyors of the Waqf board? Why is the state paying salaries to Maulvis? Why is the state giving interest-free loans to set up shops on Waqf and mosque land? Why is the state running madrasas? Why is the state giving crores to set up Christian development corporations? Should we be secular? Yes. But are we? No. Or if you believe all this is indeed secular, then bring mosques and churches also under state control and temples. Have them. Look, the fact of the matter is no one has damaged our constitution more than the Congress, and they know it. That's why they keep shouting, because of inferiority complex. Because when does constitution die? When a citizen's freedom of speech and expression is brutally stomped upon. And that is what Nehru did through his first amendment to our constitution, following which under him dozens of books and films were banned, historians and editors were jailed. When does constitution die? When the president and the judiciary is forced to curtail the fundamental rights of the citizen. And that is what Indira Gandhi did through the emergency, following which tens of thousands of Indians were jailed and killed and sterilized, and constitution's body and preamble altered. When does constitution die, Rahul? when a Supreme Court's thorough and postal judgment is overturned with impunity, when the citizens' right to privacy is snatched away, and that is what Rajiv Gandhi did through the Postal Act and through overturning the Shah Bano judgment, ushering in an era of blatant appeasement. When does it die? The Constitution. When tens of thousands of activists are arrested and charged with sedition and called anti-national, which is what the Home Minister did then under the UPA. When the Election Commission is severely compromised, which is what Sonia Gandhi did when her proxy rule. 8,000 activists were charged with sedition in a single day.
Yes.
When Naveen Chawla, despite Shah Commission charging him with committing atrocities, was appointed at the CEC, ignoring the cries of the then CEC that he was actually spying for the Congress. Finally, when does Constitution die? When the FCRA Act is retrospectively amended, rendering the High Court conviction of political parties like the BJP and the Congress toothless, which is what happened under Rahul Gandhi through a parliamentary amendment brought in by the BJP and supported by the Congress. On the other hand, just 10 seconds. How has Modi and the RSS killed the Constitution? Give me one example that hasn't either been ratified by the Supreme Court or the opposition itself, like the 370 abrogation or the SC/ST Act. Hedam.
Well, let me ask you one other question, Dr. Ranganathan. Very impassioned, beautifully illustrated points. Lots of hard facts there. You're putting me to shame. But I have to ask you this. You know, you said something. Were we as if we were not secular till 1976? Now, look, viewers, I always believe in plain speak and the hard facts. I have a severe problem with this statement. We weren't secular till 1976. We are still not secular. Viewers. In fact, Nehru left out these words. You know why, viewers? Because he wanted to tinker. He wanted to give selective appeasement. No. Selectively, he wanted to appease people. You see, no, one minute. Sanjay Jha, don't interrupt me, Sanjay Jha. I never interrupted you. Sanjay Jha says that, you see, the BJP twisted things. You know, viewers, who brought in the cow protection legislations?
Let me answer.
It was Congress. Who brought in, viewers, those legislations that prevented conversions? It was the Congress. They were trying to balance every side, viewers. So they decided to codify Hindu personal laws, viewers, but leave out Muslim personal laws.
Yes.
So, Dr. Ranganathan, I believe that they left out these words because they didn't want to be held by them. Am I wrong?
Absolutely. No, not at all. In fact, I was being rhetorical
when
I said that the Congress is saying that those words are important to be inserted. But I want to, my good friend Sanjay said, UCC is important, but it takes time to look at the sensitivities of communities. So it's taken 80 years, right? But why is it that the Hindu Code Bill was brought within 2 years? What happened to Hindu community sensitivities then? So
they were the majority.
Sensitivity of marrying a child is important for Sanjay Jha. This is why we will remain a country that is under the throes of this fake secularism.
Very quickly, because I want to bring in Tariq Bhai, I want to bring in the BJP national spokesperson, I want to bring in Mr. Khan. So very quickly.
So Rahul, very concisely, I'll summarize where the problem is. The Constitution has always inherently, even when it did not have secularism and socialism, treated that as an embedded intrinsic part of the Constitution. What Mrs. Gandhi did was to put it down in black and white terms.
Please, let's set this aside. As if Dr. Ambedkar was some moron. As if Dr. Ambedkar was some moron. Please don't abuse his intelligence. Please don't abuse his intelligence. Indira Gandhi, who suspended viewers' democracy, is being held up as somebody who improved on Dr. Ambedkar. I mean,
I have just exposed
are we blind, viewers? I mean, Indira Gandhi took an axe to democracy, viewers, and she hacked it. She hacked the dreams of Dr. Ambedkar. Luckily, we didn't go the way of Pakistan, viewers, because our armed forces were disciplined.
Can I make an important point?
Yes, please. Yeah, of course.
Rahul, I think, there are two important questions which need to be very clearly answered today, and the answers will be beneficial to this extremely ignorant Congress party. Number one, why were the words secularism and socialism not included in the original preamble to our Constitution? The answer is very simple. The founding fathers of our Constitution were extremely sagacious, futuristic, and visionary. They did not want these to be instruments of vacuous and ostentatious virtue signaling by any political party. Please don't
Thank
barge
you
in.
for
There's a
praising
very
Sir,
important
don't
point.
speak over him, sir. He never spoke over you.
This is
He's
not the
waited
way.
his turn. This is not fair, sir.
This
Please.
is not the way. They did
Fine.
not want them to be misused, for vacuous virtue signaling for any political party in future. And, Articles 25 to 28 of our constitution implicitly provide for the principles of secularism. Article 38 to 39 implicitly provide for the principles of socialism, which emphasize on social and economic justice, so that overt and ostentatious reiteration was not required. Number two, in what were the circumstances under which, these two words were inserted? The draconian 42nd Amendment Act. Now, my simple question to this country and to the congressmen is that, did we have any communal flare-up during that period? What was the pressing need to have it at a time when 1 lakh people were in jail, political activists were in jail, when top journalists, including Kuldeep Nair, Kushwant Singh and the likes were in jail, when 26 social and religious social and political organizations were banned? This Congress party needs to owe an apology even today for the surreptitious manner in which it inserted it.
Yes, 42nd Amendment, viewers, a plethora. 1 minute, let me open it up. Please, let's respect the time that Mr. Tariq Khan...
42nd Amendment...
1 second, let's respect the time that Mr. Tariq Khan has given to us. Gentlemen, silence, please. I want to bring in Mr. Tariq Khan. You like these questions, both of you. Let's take this debate forward. We're having an interesting debate. Mr. Tariq Khan, thank you very much. I'm terribly sorry I've come to you after precisely 23 minutes. Don't blame me. But I have to ask you this question. Sir, are you committed to hard secularism? If you are, why don't you back the UCC? Why do you want a system in this country where only the men of one community can marry 4 times, can marry underage people? Why do you want this, sir? Why don't you want the UCC?
First of all, answer me which type of UCC you want. It would be unanimous across India.
Across everybody.
Okay. What about Uttarakhand?
Of course, I understand where you're coming from.
Okay,
if you're asking me personally,
what about Uttarakhand? If you want a special provision,
sir, can you allow me to finish? You asked me a question. Can I answer your question?
Give me 5 seconds. Give me 5 seconds. I'll keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, please.
If you want a special provision only for Muslims, you can amend BNS, make it there. If you want UCC, that would be unanimous across the India.
Yeah.
Okay, we have UCC in Uttarakhand. There has been special provisions for the people who are living, for the tribes. What is this? So my simple question is this: क्या UCC unanimous है? और अगर हम भविष्य में इसको लेके आते हैं, so क्या ये unanimous होगा या नहीं होगा? Simple. अगर है तो आप लेके आइए.
ठीक है. So that's a good point. Now I'll tell you where the problem is. 1 second. I'll tell you where the 1 second, gentlemen. You didn't allow me to bring a fact. A hard fact, viewers. Let me bring in a hard fact. Okay, both of you. 1 minute. तारिक खान, आपकी बात हमने मान ली. अब 2 मिनट तो सुनिए जवाब का. Please listen to my answer. You see, viewers, he's talking about certain tribals who are left out of the UCC in Uttarakhand. Now, why is that, viewers? Have you ever
because
asked
of Schedule 5, Schedule 6 of the Constitution.
Precisely. So, viewers, you have to ask yourself this question, because what we are looking for is a uniform secular code. People who don't subscribe to a religion, they subscribe to a culture, viewers. It's a bit different. They are covered under a different statute of the Constitution. So we cannot conflate issues. Yes, in an ideal world, and in the world that Dr. Ranganathan might want to live in the next 20 years, he would say that everyone, and I agree with him, at some point we need to evolve to that. That is hard secularism, viewers. So, let me tell you, we've taken a very close step to that ideal, but at least we've started moving in some states. I don't see it in West Bengal. Why don't I see it in West Bengal, Mr. Tausif Khan? Tell me, Uttarakhand has at least proceeded. What are you waiting for? You want young girls to be exploited, married off to the first person who throws some cash down, a 70-year-old person? Tell me, what is the issue? You want one man to have four wives? Explain. Is that right?
Rahul, the first topic was the demand for removal of secular and socialist from the preamble of the Constitution. Now, all this noise for removing makes really no sense, because this matter is already decided by the landmark judgment of Keshav Nanda Bharti case, where 13 judges sat on the bench. You are asking whether it was a constitutional bench or not. Please go and read. What has the Supreme Court said? Supreme Court dealt in detail.
Do you know what?
The Constituent
I'm sorry, sir. You confused. You're a lawyer. Are you a lawyer?
Why are you interrupting? Why interrupting?
Because you're confusing the two issues deliberately. You're spreading lies.
No, I'm first addressing the first issue.
Okay.
I'm addressing the first issue, and please, Anand, don't.
ठीक है,
don't
बोलिए सर,
please
बोलिए.
have patience.
Hard fact check
Have
आने वाला है.
patience.
बोलिए.
Now, Supreme Court has in an elaborate judgment, dealt with what Constituent Assembly said, dealt with what the idea of the nation is, and how integral the term secular and socialist is to the preamble, and what is the basic structure doctrine. You see, a parliament has no power to amend the basic structure. Parliament has all the power to go and amend any amendment they want, but they cannot touch the basic structure that is void ab initio. Therefore, the RSS person who's demanding removal of these two terms is committing an act of treason against the Constitution. He should be arrested. Why is he being allowed to speak so openly when the matter is already decided? India is not a Hindu Rashtra.
Viewers, Dr. Ambedkar weaved into our constitution the freedom of expression.
They will live in their own world.
One second, Tausif Khan. This is not Mamata Banerjee's Bengal. Hello.
They will be taught a
Okay,
lesson.
Tausif Khan.
Okay.
Jail people, he says. Jail them. Throw them into prison if they express a view. No, one second. I'll come to the hard facts. Let's come to the hard facts. Let the BJP national spokesperson respond to you. Landmark judgment. Confusing issues as usual. Yes,
I have a simple point, Rahul. If the Congress party in 1975 was so convinced about the need for these two words to be included, why did they bring it under an amendment which had no judicial oversight?
Yes.
If you recall, if you go to through the contents of the 42nd Amendment, that was a mini constitution in itself, and the biggest casualty. Please don't barge in between. Have the basic courtesy, Mr. Jha.
Okay.
The biggest casualty of this amendment, 42nd Amendment, was on the judiciary. The judicial oversight over the inclusion of these two words were not there. So my point is that the Congress was so convinced at that point of time, it could have done it. It could have done it in a very straightforward way.
Yeah.
Why this surreptitiousness?
You're saying why chori chupke chupke?
Rahul, let me answer
And
his
this
asked question of the
requires
Congress. I
an
need to
apology.
answer.
Yes, okay, very quickly. Why did you have to invoke the emergency under the cloak of emergency, Mr. Jha?
जवाब भी सुनिए, कितना प्रश्न पूछेगा?
Why under the cloak of emergency, Mr. Jha? That's the response.
Rahul, 15 seconds.
Yeah, please.
Sinha ji.
Go ahead.
सिन्हा जी, आज देश में जो सांप्रदायिक तापमान और आपने जो जहर फैलाया है, it proves that Mrs. Indira Gandhi did the right thing to put secularism in the constitution to keep you on your toes. I don't know what you would have done to this country if there had been no secularism.
So the Congress walked it all back, viewers, within days. Within 10 years. Okay, lower everyone's fathers. Within 10 years, viewers, of Indira Gandhi bringing in these words to, as he says, shackle everybody and bind them and make them good people, good secular people, the Congress party walked back the Supreme Court on the Shah Bano judgment. It brought in the Waqf Amendment Bill. It brought in the Place of Worship Act. It brought in, viewers, it increased the endowments for Hajj. It brought in the concept of religious quotas. Viewers, it did everything that it was supposed to not do.
Yes.
Wow. And it even opened, for good measure, the Babri Masjid locks. Wow. Sir, आप क्या बोलते हैं? Jha साहब, you contradict yourself every time you open your mouth. That's not really fair, is it, to you? Let me bring in Dr. Ranganathan. Yes.
Rahul ji,
You see, this is what I've been saying. No, listen. Let's go by brute logic and hard facts, Rahul.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, should we have the word secular in our preamble? Yes, we should. But then who has violated it? I spent 1.5 minutes of my whatever I said. saying that Congress has violated it hook, line and sinker for 60 years.
Okay.
So they should be the one who should be punished by the Supreme Court. But ये तौफीक भाई ये इनके कहने की हिम्मत नहीं है. Every statement and decision of Congress when it panders to appeasement and minorities has been against the Keshav Nanda Bharati or whatever that says that secularism is a fundamental and basic structure. They have violated it more than anybody else. Do I want India to be secular? Yes, but not like what it is right now.
Absolutely.
This is blatantly not secular.
This is selectively secular,
and
viewers.
the
There's a
RSS
selective. Anyhow,
part,
I
the
need to
real
move on,
conflicts.
viewers, because we're talking about serious issues tonight on the hard facts. And I need to move because we've heard the two sides. We know exactly where the line runs in this discourse. But viewers, there are certain things that even the Supreme Court needs to think about and it needs to think through. Because there have been instances, viewers, when the Supreme Court has taken to grandstanding, playing to the galleries. It has to ask itself some serious questions. Maybe it can relook at this particular judgment that the Congress is now clutching like a straw because it is drowning in its own contradictions, viewers. Anyhow, let's move on.